Live in 5,
2. Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to week 0. We're doing a tailgate show, but no one's tailgating just yet. It's still week 0, but we're working on still preseason for us. Except for we are joined by waiting since last Saturday's Tony Waller, who is actually attending the Nebraska-Illinois. Illinois is dear to his heart. He used to work there, and he and some friends are traveling up there to watch the game. Welcome, Tony.
Hey man, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I'm streaking through down I-74 through cornfields. Well, of course, I say that now it's soybeans, but I have a sickness. I have to go see some college football live and in person. So
you're flying by the seat of your pants. You got in last night. You got rental car problems, so the tailgate hasn't quite happened yet. I'm playing in the golf tournament, so we're just gonna do this. Graham, the newlywed, is with me. Welcome,
Hello.
Graham.
Thank you.
Congrats, Graham.
Thank you.
And we're excited. We're going to talk some week 0, but before we talk week 0, let's talk about the Dogs. All of us have been talking and reading the tea leaves out of practice and pressers and stuff like that. But we're 7 days away. Most of us going to be in Charlotte this time next week. So we're we've doing some analysis most of the time, but we're going to talk a little narrative. And what has you most excited from all the news? I know we've had a lot of bad news and we've talked about some of the injuries and stuff, but is there anything that's got you excited coming out of Butts-Mehre this week?
I mean, for starters, Adam Anderson saying he's going to get 20 and feels like 20 is a low number of sacks for him.
That was exciting.
I gotta be honest. That made parts of my body tingle, and in a good way. So I think the overarching thing is I hope our injuries. I don't hold any hope that Washington or Tyke Smith are going to play against Clemson, just because it feels like there's enough noise out there to make me believe that part of it. But I just overall I like where we are. I'm excited to see what happens with Monken having toys at his disposal and feeling comfortable to let those toys out of the box a little bit.
Grant, what's got you juiced up for the news that we're hearing?
Yeah, no, I'm kind of with Tony. I think there seems to be a bit of just like a quiet confidence sort of emanating from Butts-Mehre right now. And generally in college football, if you believe you're going to win, actually believe you're going to win, then oftentimes you do. And I think, it's a little different than kind of the end of the Richt era, where like with some games like this, we would sort of see kind of like that fake kind of macho attitude, or someone would try to chirp or start a fight in the tunnel before the game, and then we'd hit the field and get like blown out by Alabama in the rain. So that part feels good. I think the other thing that probably has me feeling best is the continued reviews of Brock Bowers just looking really, really good. We did the show, Josh, on how tight ends were the best way to attack the Clemson defense, and then we lost Darnell to injury like 3 days later. So, I think we've known he's going to be an able receiver, but I'm hearing good things about him kind of potentially in that like H-back blocking role, which I think is important in this game for our young O-line against a really good Clemson front seven. So that has me feeling positive as well.
Yeah, we were talking about the G-Day game, and I was kind of busting Jeremy's chops about Brock Bowers, and here he is. He looks to be near the top of the depth chart game 1 against Clemson. So, Jeremy was hot on him, and from everything I've heard, he's the real deal with athleticism and size and speed. I don't think he's quite ready to block the DNs in the ACC and the SEC, but he's going to learn real fast, and I think Georgia fans have a lot to be excited about there. So what, the elephant in the room are the injuries, and I think that we all like to gamble a little bit. We all pick games and stuff, and one of the things, skill position
we would
player,
never do that here.
skill position players, often are overvalued, I think, by sort of the casual betting or the casual fan. But cluster injuries are noteworthy, and we seem to have cluster injuries at the receiver position, whether it's missing Gilbert or Darnell missing a game, and just sort of a lot of guys coming back. Do you think that you talked about that, Tony? Do you think Monken's got enough weapons to challenge this Clemson defense?
Well, it's interesting. That's one of the things we talked about this week on Wait Since Last Saturday, and Will in particular brought up this is why you recruit at the level you recruit at if you're Georgia, because you literally can plug and play, which is kind of been the part of the genius of Saban's time at Alabama, and frankly, probably Tabo's time at Clemson. And I think we're there, right? And would I feel better if we had Pickens and Eric Gilbert and Washington available? Of course. Am I comfortable that there's a drop-off between whomever is next up? Sure. But is the drop-off such that it puts us behind any team on our schedule but Clemson? I don't think so. And I include Florida in that. And the reality is, it's like we could actually be level with Clemson. We'll talk about that on our podcast this week, and I'm sure y'all will too. But it just feels like this is why you build the recruiting machine you build, so that if someone gets hurt or you have a cluster of injuries, you're not in a situation where your second string guy is a true freshman and really, really can spend some time on the scout team. You've got a redshirt freshman who spent time on the scout team last year. Oh, and also played 3 games because he's too good to keep off the field. And that's the great part of where we are. So I wish we had people, some of those people in, but I'm not terribly concerned about where we are with them. Now, a week from tomorrow, I could have a totally different take, obviously. But today, I feel pretty good about where we are.
Yeah, I mean, one of the narratives, we keep saying that word narrative. I think you guys do such a good job of talking through all of those narratives on Waiting Since Last Saturday. And, one of the narratives that's still floating around is comparing the first 5 years of Kirby and Mark Richt. And I think that what you talked about is that recruiting results don't even compare to what Mark Richt did. I mean, he was good, but Kirby is just taking it to a new level. And yeah, like you say, it allows for, next man up truly. And that's what the Alabamas have had. That's what the Ohio States have had. And we're going to find out if Georgia has it, to be honest.
Yeah. My thing on this is, with Gilbert, like, go back to earlier this spring or earlier this summer before he transferred in, and like, how did you feel about Georgia's chances then before he was even on the roster? You felt pretty good. I think most of us did. So yeah, it sucks that he's out, but it's also like, I think, a lot of us were never expecting him to be part of the season, and we're still really high on Georgia's chances. And I think that Georgia will probably get him back at some point, just kind of reading the tea leaves. But like Tony said, I mean, and like Will said, and it's why you recruit. But I think the other piece of this is it's also like Kirby Smart said on the podium after that LSU SEC championship game loss 2 years ago and said, we have to get better wide receivers. And he went and signed 3 of the top 50 overall players in the country that were wide receivers, a month later on early signing day. And like, he has been building that position up. And A.D. Mitchell is a great example of a guy, like 3-star guy, not the most well-hyped. Staff did their work. They evaluated on him. Kid who, didn't play high school football last year because of COVID, kind of fell between the cracks in recruiting. And he's probably going to be in the 2-deep rotation against Clemson. So I think that they've done a good job. I think, it's always important to remember that Monken's background is as a receivers coach. And if you look at his offenses historically, his receiving cores run routes really well. They do the little fundamental things to create space very, very well. And a lot of that stuff is not necessarily skill or athleticism. It's good coaching. So I trust that he'll have those guys ready to go.
I think one of the things that I'm excited about is, and I don't know if he's being talked about enough, or maybe I don't listen to the right folks, but I'm excited that James Cook is going to get, I believe he's going to get more snaps and targets and touches with these injuries, because I think he's a little bit of a Swiss Army knife for Monken, and I'm quite excited for him to get a chance to really be a star in his this season that he came back. Am I wrong to think that, Tony, that Cook should have an expanded role for the Clemson game?
No, I can see a world where through the first 4 games, Cook is the lead receiver, at least receptions one. Because what you do, if you figure out a way to put Cook and White or Cook and Milton or Cook and whomever on the field at the same time, you're basically making a linebacker make a really hard choice about, okay, are they in a run package or pass package? Because the cool part about Cook, and he blocks way above his size. So you can put him out almost like a split end or an H-back kind of position, hybrid H-back kind of thing. And he can still provide pass pro, or he can do the quick chip and then roll out for the wheel route. But what are you going to do? You got Zeus back there. You got to account for him too, and you just create matchup problems for your linebackers at that point. Not to mention he's so slippery as a receiver. He's hard to account for because he has great speed. He also has such great vision for open spots in the field. And I think having a summer with he and JT to work together, I think that could be a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think the other thing about this that we maybe haven't talked about too much is this is probably a really good solution. Like having Cook and McIntosh line up in the slot some and catch balls is a good solution to how you get touches to all 4 of those running backs, because it's hard to split carries between 4 guys and do it probably in a way that does all of them justice, because they all have enough talent to kind of deserve like starter level carries. And so I think for Georgia, being in that situation for the first month of the season and being able to maybe target a Cook, 6-7 times a game in the passing game, and a McIntosh 4 to 6 times a game. I mean, go back and look at the spring game. I think running backs had 18 receptions or 22 receptions. It was a crazy number. So it seems like that's sort of part of the game plan. And I mean, even just the check down stuff, I think is a little scary to think about once Georgia's gotten the defense kind of stretched out a little bit and hit a couple of vertical passes down the field and made that defense back out of the box. All of a sudden you dump a ball off to a guy like Cook and he's got a linebacker in space and no one else around him. That's, kind of frightening for a defense.
So we're talking narratives, and we're still confident that the offense is not going to be completely hamstrung and maybe even having a great game with all the weapons from the recruiting. One of the other narratives that has been all over national, all preseason, all summer, is it's now or never for Kirby Smart. I don't think anybody that is doing a Georgia podcast believes that to be the case, but certainly that's a story. Since we're not going to talk about that, what are some of the other narratives? I just got it out. No, we're not going to talk about that. We can talk about the Alliance if you really want to beat a dead horse.
No, hell no.
So,
hey, be cool. I'm in Alliance territory.
That's true. You are, man.
And full disclosure, Tony is not operating the camera. He is legally operating the vehicle hands-free. His buddy Paul, shout out to Paul, is operating the camera. And if you guys want to see some flat, can you tell Paul to pan over through through whatever field you're crossing through in Southern Illinois?
Well, actually, we're going through we're going through the Sangamon River Valley, so it's all trees right now.
It's all right.
That's the Dog Sports Live way. Okay, so what?
Yeah.
All right, so back to my point. What other narratives do we need to bust, or that just really just tired of hearing that just aren't the case for those really paying attention to this team?
I mean, to me, the one that I'm ready to be done with is Kirby won't change his offense.
Yes.
look, I realize ESPN assignment editors have to make sure that they get eyeballs, and they follow the AJC rule, which is what drives clicks to their website are saying good things about Alabama and bad things about Georgia. And ESPN has really latched on to that, and that's fine. I get it. We are a pessimistic lot, and we would we'd much more likely click through an article and be mad, and also feel like we're validated in our belief that things are going to go poorly, than click through an article, with Bill Conley saying Georgia's there, right? And that's the one I'm ready to be done with.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think to take your original point a little bit further, I think the specific narrative that I'm really tired of is like this idea that Kirby still has his hands on the wheel in some way, or doesn't want anything other than a man ball type of approach, because we've listened to him say in his own words many, many times that he gets it. Like, he understands the Saban thing of we got to score points, and good offense beats good defense in modern college football. But B, if you cover Georgia football and you watched Georgia football last year, it was very clear that the offensive concepts were night and day different from the James Coley era and even the Jim Chaney era. And there was a lot of times where wide receivers were very open downfield, and whether it was Stetson Bennett or to a very much lesser extent JT Daniels towards the end of the season, or DeJuan Mathis, like early in the year, those guys were not seeing the field very well. They were not targeting those wide receivers that were open downfield. And I feel like it just kind of kept the same narrative going of like the same Georgia offense is happening here. And it's like, well, no, like we went into a game at Alabama with Stetson Bennett and passed the ball, 2-1 in the first half. And we're in the lead, and then things just kind of fell apart. And he had just couldn't kind of take us all the way there. But like, if you watch the games instead of just the box score, like it's very obvious the route trees are much more complex, and there's a lot of things that Monken is doing to scheme guys open downfield. So my thing with going into the Clemson game is, with the injuries at wide receiver and with a O-line that could be overmatched at certain times, it might be smarter to run the ball than it is to air it out, 45 times against that defense. And if that happens, I don't want to like wake up on Sunday morning to, it's the same old Kirby Smart. He's trying to play man ball and that won't work. And it's like, well, maybe he's just trying to design a game plan around the personnel that's healthy for this one particular game, and let's see how the next, 12 games play out.
Yeah, to quote Herm Edwards, who's in hot water, you play to win the game. And if that means
inspirational, Josh, thank you.
Yeah, if that means I know this is our narrative show. I could just talk out my ass.
Hey, hold on for 1 second. I have to ask a routing question.
You're good.
You think 57 down or go through town?
This is awesome. This is what I want out of my
live, dude. Shows. Hell yeah.
57 down. Okay, yeah, show corn, by the way, if you don't mind.
Corn,
guys. Corn
Look at that.
We're almost rolling into Champaign, so I just had to figure out which way the thought. Do you think I should go all the way down or take 72 University?
This is awesome.
Whatever you think, I'm fine. Let's get closer to campus.
That's right. We are.
We're on campus. Dog Sports Live is getting closer to on campus this morning.
Down.
Yeah, the Champaign,
Sorry, guys.
Illinois Bureau is routing.
So I got to ask, man, like, we got to talk about it. How excited are you to see Prather Hudson in the flesh?
I'm so excited to see Prather Hudson. It's America's favorite fullback turned safety.
Yeah, the human victory cigar.
Yeah, there you go. So if I see him in, I'm going to start chanting the game is over. I'll try to get the horseshoe to start chanting that.
Wait, is he playing safety for Illinois?
He's now a safety.
No.
That's a true thing. It's 100%. And then Luke Ford is the second string tight end, not tailback. This is it's Bert, so you never know. He does
Sure.
like the big beefies running the football.
Yeah, that's
If
exciting.
I'm looking at your shirt, you're wearing blue, and this
I am
is
wearing blue. Yes,
this is calculated because I believe the predominant color is orange.
it is. It is a
And
color I will not wear.
excellent. Just that should be
Attaboy.
pointed out that even though there's some orange.
But yeah, Paul's got an orange. He offered an orange shirt to me, and I thoughtfully decided not to leave.
That was
awesome.
very neighborly of Paul.
Yeah, actually, if we were not taking 57, I would literally put the Goodwill that I took all my orange stuff to my last day in Champaign before I drove to Georgia.
Nice. So, all right, let's talk a little bit about week 0.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of what's the vibe this morning? You're heading to a stadium that are they expecting a full house in Champaign today?
I mean, they're expecting a foolish house. I mean, they don't have space limitations. Like they're not doing capacity limitations. They are. I think we have to have a mask on in the concourses. But
Okay.
I would say 55,000, of which half will be Nebraska fans. Nebraska still travels really well.
Sure.
You know, I will say that it's weird being in a town only about 40 miles, 50 miles from Champaign, from the very first college football game of the season being played, and literally both Lyft drivers were like, "Oh, there's a game." Yeah, it's a very different vibe. But I can tell you that folks are justifiably proud and excited about what the transition from Lovey to Burt. Will sent me a picture of his
Burt?
run with
Yeah, dude. Burt.
It's Burt. She sent me a picture. The AD, Josh Whitman, a former student of mine at Paul's, it does a run every game day. And 50 or 60 people got together this morning to run with AD. And Will was very excited to get to do that. I'm glad he got to, because running anywhere is something. But I think when you talk about the game, and Graham, you brought up bet lines. This game feels like a 7-point game, and I think it's probably going to be a touch closer than that. But it's going to be interesting if Scott Frost loses this game. They might not invite him back on the bus to Lincoln. So yeah, he's in a very different situation than he was 5 years ago. He's got to start putting some wins up, or it's going to be Scott Frost Day at Middle Tennessee State next year.
Yeah.
Are you taking
100%.
Illinois in the points?
I feel like they can cover the spread. Yeah,
That's what I
feel like a cover is fine.
Well, yeah.
And I take the under. It's 55 points, and that feels like a lot of points for a Burt game.
Yeah, I took Illinois in the points. I also took the first half under, which was 27.
Oh yeah,
I just feel like that's a lot.
Put that money in the bank.
Yeah, that's a lot of points for Illinois and Nebraska in week 0, waking up kind of early in the Central Time Zone. Feels like, we'll have a nice 10-6 kind of halftime score. We don't want to pull a muscle here early in the season.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, are you going to Georgia-Clemson next week as well, or is
you're damn right. I'm
plans
going to
for that?
Georgia-Clemson next week. Absolutely.
Nice.
I might just
That's
drive
exciting.
from here to go to Charlotte. I don't know.
You should, man. I'm
gonna fly home tomorrow.
I'm flying to North Carolina on Tuesday of next week.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I'll be up in Charlotte on Friday. But yeah, I mean, does it feel kind of surreal right now, I guess is what I'm asking, to be driving to a stadium that's going to be a fairly normal football environment?
I would say surreal. I'm just excited by it. I mean, it has, I went to a couple of games last year, and that part was surreal, but it felt like I felt great to be in that environment, and I'm looking forward to it today.
Awesome.
I thought it was pretty cool on the podcast when you I don't know how long you've been telling folks, but I thought it was pretty awesome that you just did just what you did. Let's just go. I mean, football is back, and you went right to a week 0 game and a place that's close to your heart. I think that's pretty awesome. So I commend your perseverance through this, even on the brink of the season that is going to be an exciting one, and you're easing into it. You're going to be stretched out for Charlotte when everybody else is going to be a little stiff coming out for their first game. You're going to be in much better game shape.
Well, everybody says the most improvement a team makes is from week 1 to week 2. So I'm going to be ready to roll next week.
I mean, yeah, I'm expecting your mind to be pretty limber here in a few hours.
Give me about 35 minutes.
There you go. Perfect.
Well, before we wrap it up and let you make it way to the stadium, is there anything else that anybody wants to chime in about, and or anything they're doing this weekend to celebrate the season?
Guys, I just appreciate you doing this. Look forward to doing this more during the season.
Yeah, I think it's fun. I think it's a fun way to just get out some of the pregame jitters, and maybe some late news comes around. So I appreciate you joining us. And I've been scrolling the show on the live feed here, but be sure to subscribe and listen to the Waiting Since Last Saturday podcast. It's sort of the gold standard for podcast and Georgia community. I believe over 270 episodes, and Graham and I would only hope to get to a fraction of that. He is Tony Waller. I am Josh Hancher at Dog, and you're Tyler Dogbin on the Twitter.
On the
Graham,
Twitters.
on the Twitters, I am Dog_stats on the Twitter, and I am now.
I got one.
Okay,
I got
jump
one
in.
parting thought for you, real quick. And,
I was going to turn it over and let you close this out. So good.
No, you're good. Sorry. Two things. One, last week, I think Rusty Manziel said on their podcast that Ladd McConkey could lead Georgia in receptions this year, and everyone said he was crazy. But one of our deep state inside sources yesterday told us that he might not be so crazy after all. So get ready for Ladd Fest 2021. And then second of all, nobody on Georgia's defensive line is injured as of yet. And I think that's probably the most important thing that we need to remember going into Clemson week. That's all I got.
I love that, actually. And, we did find out, it sounds like Tate Ratledge won a spot on the right guard position, and that means Salyer's on the left side, which is exciting.
That is exciting. I didn't realize that.
So, yeah, that's what the report was, and that's great news. That's a great point to close this out on. I'm actually going to be posting a story on the O-line and D-line for the Clemson game on Dog Sports, so check that out. As always, check out Graham's content on dogsports.com. And we appreciate it, Tony. Be safe and have fun. And thanks again for joining us.
Go line.
No problem. Enjoyed it. We'll see y'all
Later, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right, cool. Yeah, I got a bug, so I can get in touch with